Hey everyone, and welcome. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining us for today's explainer. We're about to take a seriously fascinating journey into a place you literally visit every single second of your life, but you've probably never actually seen it. So let's just dive right in. Have you ever wondered where your feelings and interpretations actually come from? Well, today we are going to explore the hidden industrial complexity of how we humans actually form meaning. It's this wildly surreal, deeply psychological, and honestly, surprisingly mechanical process that's happening right behind your eyes. Think about the last time someone said something to you and you immediately felt a flash of anger or, I don't know, maybe a sudden wave of joy. You experience one simple thought, and it feels completely automatic, right? It feels like that meaning just arrived totally clearly and directly. But what is really happening underneath? We walk around kind of assuming our conscious reasoning is this smooth, logical, uninterrupted process. But I really want to challenge that everyday perception right out of the gate here. Okay, so let's break down this illusion of simplicity that we all just kind of live with. Imagine a perfectly calm face. A single word, let's say the word failure, enters your consciousness. Step one, it seems to effortlessly drop this tiny, glowing meaning pellet straight into your mind. Step two, and then that triggers an instant emotional reaction. Step three, you think, they meant this, so I feel that. Everything appears so incredibly simple. Step one, step two, step three. But listen, this is just the output. It's literally just the very tip of a massive, hidden iceberg. So let's move past that surface level. Part one, inside the meaning machine, the reveal of the subconscious. We're going to dramatically pull back the curtain and zoom way downward, far beneath your ordinary awareness. Welcome to the meaning machine. And look, this isn't some quiet, dusty library of neatly organized thoughts. Not at all. It is a gigantic, super chaotic industrial processing facility operating 24/7 in your subconscious. I want you to really visualize this space. Picture thousands of moving systems, endless, completely exhausted workers running around frantically trying to maintain incredibly unstable machinery. Imagine these glowing plasma globe-style translator systems with electrical pathways rapidly branching, snapping, and rerouting. Beneath every single interpreted thought you have, there's this enormous system continuously recalculating and reconstructing what things actually mean. And here is exactly why it's so chaotic down there. Meaning doesn't just emerge from words alone. We have input port chaos. Your machine is constantly receiving massive streams of visual input, sounds, sudden emotional signals, buried memories, the current fragile state of your relationships, unspoken social pressures, even environmental conditions like whether you just happen to be hungry, cold, or tired. Imagine the workers in this factory accidentally throwing all of this diverse, chaotic junk into wildly overloaded filters. The signal graphs are just spiking and plummeting. Meaning is constantly recalculating based on all of these factors at the exact same time. It's intense. So the absolute crucial point we need to grasp here is that this interpretive system is highly, highly sensitive. It's super delicate. The workers down in your subconscious are constantly struggling to stabilize these electrical meaning arcs. They branch, they destabilize, they reconnect. A technician down there might attempt to calibrate a signal and it stabilizes for a split second, right? Only to completely destabilize immediately because your mood just shifted slightly, or maybe you suddenly remembered something embarrassing from like 5 years ago. And this beautifully illustrates the incredible power of a small upstream adjustment. Because the machine is so ridiculously sensitive, a technician turning a tiny calibration dial, literally just a tiny fraction of an inch, can radically shift the downstream outputs. A meaning pellet that was about to be minted as a massive threat suddenly becomes just a misunderstanding. What was about to be processed as a catastrophic failure is recalibrated into mere data. A painful rejection turns into, well, just confusion. The workers just freeze in disbelief. A tiny tweak changes absolutely everything. Tiny interpretive adjustments may radically alter conscious experience. Just let that sink in for a second. Actually, think about it like this. Just one extra thought, just one deep breath to pause, or one simple challenge to an assumption you're making can completely change the emotional reality you end up experiencing. You are absolutely not at the mercy of the first pellet that drops out of the machine. The machinery can be adjusted. Which brings us to the next critical phase, part two, the reality bucket, mistaking output for truth. Let's shift our focus to what actually happens to the products of this crazy factory. This is the psychological trap we all inevitably fall into. Humans often mistake processed interpretive outputs for reality itself. Picture this. The workers in your subconscious grab these newly minted, highly unstable meaning pellets. They're labeled things like love, insult, success, or threat. And the workers just casually, almost carelessly, toss them into a massive steel bucket labeled reality. Meanwhile, the machine right behind them is still sparking, smoking, and totally chaotic. But once that pellet hits the bucket, we treat it as absolute, undeniable fact. Let's trace how incredibly fast this whole thing builds. In just millisecond 1, the pellet emerges from the chaotic, overloaded machine. By millisecond 2, it gets tossed straight into the reality bucket. And by millisecond 3, you, the conscious human, have accepted it unconditionally as objective truth. You don't see the buzzing plasma globes or the overworked, stressed-out technicians. You just see the little pellet labeled insult, and you think, well, that is reality. You just blindly accept a highly unstable interpretation as an absolute permanent fact. Crazy, right? Now let's take a look at the characters inside this system in part 3, the technician's frustration. We really have to ask, is the machine broken? Inside the factory, we have this curious, logical, and highly skeptical technician. He basically represents our ordinary conscious reasoning. He sees these wild fluctuations, how a tiny adjustment effortlessly turns a threat into a misunderstanding, and he is incredibly frustrated. He thinks the troubleshooting equipment is totally broken. So his manager sends him up to a quiet training classroom overlooking the factory floor, where he meets this calm, deeply grounded professor. The technician points aggressively at the wildly unstable readings and demands to know how the machine could be so profoundly flawed. And the professor? He just smiles gently and says, "Oh, that's just how the human brain works. It's not broken at all. It's operating exactly as it was designed to." Well, the technician cannot handle this answer. In this pivotal, deeply emotional moment, he storms right down through the output area, looks at the chaotic reality bucket full of sparking pellets, and he just angrily kicks it. He yells, "Then are these even worth anything?" And honestly, it's a profound question for all of us to consider. If our interpretations are just unstable pellets formed by a chaotic, easily influenced subconscious factory, do our deeply flawed interpretations hold any value at all? Are we just making everything up? But hey, the story doesn't end in cynicism. Part 4 looks at the value of imperfect meaning, awareness, and care. Let's see how the professor gently resolves this existential crisis. The professor looks warmly toward the spilled reality bucket, and his response is just so deeply compassionate. Of course they're valuable, he says. These are the outputs of the human mind. They represent humanity's attempt to understand reality, each other, and themselves. I mean, what a truly beautiful way to look at it, right? The chaotic outputs aren't a bug in the system. They are our deeply valuable, uniquely human attempts to navigate a staggeringly complex world. They are imperfect, yes, for sure, but they are our only bridge to meaning. So how do we actively make them better? Well, the professor provides a super actionable framework for us to follow. Step 1, pause. When a pellet drops, don't just instantly react to it. Step 2, reflect. Check your inputs. Are you exhausted? Are old, painful memories interfering with the present? Step 3, recalibrate. Make that tiny upstream adjustment to the dial. And step 4, grow. Because as we learn to intentionally do this over and over, the quality of our outputs actually improves. They become more stable, more valuable. We essentially become the master operators of our own meaning machines. Understanding the instability of meaning does not make human interpretation worthless. Not at all. It makes awareness exponentially more important. In the final, poignant scene of our story, the technician, who's now moved to a place of profound understanding and deep respect, quietly walks back to the reality bucket he kicked. He gently moves it away from the edge, finds a heavy lid, and carefully places it on top to protect the glowing meaning pellets inside. He has finally become a thoughtful steward of his own mind. And that brilliantly brings us directly to you. Our interpretations are highly sensitive, they are inherently unstable, and they are deeply influenced by an absolute whirlwind of context. But imperfect meaning systems still possess profound, undeniable value. So I want to leave you with this final thought. The next time a meaning pellet drops into your consciousness, be it sudden anger, creeping fear, or just a heavy sense of failure, will you blindly accept it as objective reality, or will you take a deep breath, pause, and check the machine? Thank you so much for exploring the meaning machine with me today. Keep asking questions, keep recalibrating, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.